Do aliens really exist? Are they on our Earth? Because I saw it the other day, in the Amazon, on the other side of a strange door. I don't know if it was Earth or some other world of extraterrestrials, but something was there. Even today, I haven't been able to understand what I actually saw that day. I tried many times to convince myself maybe it all happened because of exhaustion. Maybe the fear of the jungle, the darkness, the stress of not eating had messed with my head. But one thing still won't let me sleep. When I was running away from that place, the last thing I saw when I looked back, it wasn't human. And those eyes, they still stand outside my window in the middle of the night. Everything began about 7 months ago. I used to make survival and exploration videos for YouTube. Most of the time I went to mountains, old ruins, jungles. But my views weren't doing well at the time, so I was looking for a location that no one had seen before. That's when a man from Brazil contacted me. His name was Raphael. He sent me a terrifyingly strange video. It was very blurry, recorded at night on a mobile phone. But in it, something could be seen glowing deep in the jungle. At first, I thought it was fire. But no, it was a door. Yes, a door, standing in the air in the middle of a completely dark jungle, a glowing door. In the video, Raphael was panting and saying, "We didn't touch that thing because something was moving nearby." Then the video suddenly cut off. I thought it was fake at first, but later he sent more photos. And the strangest thing was, in every photo, the door was in a different location, sometimes beside a tree, sometimes near water, sometimes inside mist, as if it was changing positions on its own. After that, we stayed in contact for nearly 2 weeks. Raphael told me that deep in the Amazon, some local tribes called this place La Puerta Viva, meaning the living door. Their belief, the door does not belong to this world, and most of those who went inside never came back. I didn't believe in such superstitions. I was only thinking, if this is real, this would be the biggest video of my life. So we formed a team of 4, me, Raphael, my cameraman Lucas, and a survival expert, Marina. We set off toward the Amazon at the end of August. The place was so deep inside that for the last 3 days we had to travel by boat and on foot. And the deeper we went, the more unnatural the place felt. From the very first day, jungles normally have thousands of sounds, birds, insects, monkeys, but that place had a strange silence, as if the entire jungle was holding its breath and watching us. Sometimes in the distance we'd hear something moving. Shadows would stir behind trees, but when we got closer, nothing was there. On the second night, we camped beside a river. That same night, the first strange thing happened. It was nearly 3 in the morning. Suddenly, a very faint sound woke me up. Tick, 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 as if someone was tapping a finger on something metallic. I took my torch and went outside. Darkness all around, just the smell of wet leaves and the sound of the distant river. But then, I saw blue light flickering between the trees, very slowly, irregularly. I thought maybe it was some animal, but the light suddenly disappeared. Right at that moment, someone whispered behind me, "Don't look that way." I turned and saw Marina standing there. Her face was pale. She said very quietly, "A moment ago, I saw someone standing by the river."
Oh God, he's
"Who?"
still there.
She shook her
We
head.
have to leave now.
"Not human." That night, none of us slept. The next morning, we understood something was going wrong. Our compass wasn't working. The GPS kept losing signal. And the most terrifying thing was, we kept returning to the same spot. After 3 hours of walking, we found ourselves back at the same broken tree. Lucas joked, "Maybe the jungle doesn't want to let us leave." We laughed then, but later we understood. Maybe he wasn't joking.
Toward evening, we first saw the door. I've seen many strange things in my life, but that sight, it's hard to describe in words. In the middle of the thick, dark jungle, between two enormous trees, a door was standing, completely black, but blue light was seeping from around its edges. Strange symbols were carved on the door. The symbols looked ancient and at the same time somehow alive, because they were moving. Yes, slowly changing. The moment I took out my camera, static began appearing on the screen. Lucas said, "The battery was full. How is this?" Before he could finish, a tremendous sound came from inside the jungle, as if many animals were screaming together. We all froze. Silence all around again. Then the door slowly began to open. I still can't forget that sound, slowly, like the grinding of rusted metal. But the door wasn't made of metal. Inside was only darkness, an unnaturally black darkness. Even the torchlight couldn't penetrate inside.
Don't go near it.
Raphael said,
Whatever you
"We should
do,
go
don't let
back."
it touch you.
But at that moment,
It'll tear
I was
you
only
apart.
thinking about one thing, the video, the biggest footage of my career. I stepped inside, and that moment was the biggest mistake of my life.
The moment I stepped through the door, it felt like the sounds of the world had changed. The air was heavy. The smell was strange, a mix of rotting flesh and wet soil. All around were enormous trees, but they were like no trees on Earth. Something like veins was running along the trees, as if blood was flowing inside. And the leaves, they weren't moving in the wind. They were moving on their own. We started walking. Our torchlight was getting lost in the mist. Occasionally, we'd hear something running away in the distance, but nothing was visible. Suddenly, Lucas stopped me. With a trembling hand, he pointed ahead. I looked and saw human skeletons hanging from trees, dozens of them, but the bones of the skeletons were bent in strange ways, as if they weren't human. Marina was almost crying then. She said, "We shouldn't be here." Right at that moment, we heard something. The sound of very heavy breathing, very close to us, but nothing was visible. Then, in the torchlight, two eyes suddenly lit up, from very close to the ground, blue. I froze. Slowly, the thing emerged from the darkness. It looked somewhat like a deer, but it had no skin. Its entire body was covered in black veins, and its face, it was smiling like a human. I swear, it was smiling. The moment Lucas screamed, the creature disappeared in an instant, as if it had never been there. Then, the real terror began. Suddenly, our radio started receiving sounds. First, only static. Then, my own voice. "Don't look back."
It wasn't real.
I froze, because I had never said this. Raphael said in a trembling voice, "That's not a live voice." We couldn't understand at that point what the place was doing to us. After that, we searched for a way out for nearly an hour, but the more we walked, the more the environment changed. The trees were getting bigger, the ground was getting softer, and the sky, there was no moon in the sky. Instead, enormous shadows were slowly moving, as if something alive was floating above the sky. Suddenly, Marina stopped. She whispered, looking ahead, "Is that a human?" In the distance, through the mist, several tall figures were standing, very tall, twice the height of a normal human. Their eyes glowed with blue light, and they were staring at us with unblinking eyes. But the most terrifying thing was, they had no faces on their bodies, only eyes. Then, together, they tilted their heads in exactly the same way. My whole body went cold. We started running. The jungle at that point seemed to have come alive. Strange screams all around. The tree roots were moving. Something was running beneath the ground. Suddenly, Lucas screamed and fell. I turned to see. Something like black vines had come out from under the ground and wrapped around his legs. He was screaming. I went to pull him, but the vines seemed to be getting tighter. Right then, through the mist, those blue eyes appeared again, and this time they were much closer. Raphael screamed, "Leave him! Run!" But I couldn't leave Lucas. Then, Lucas suddenly turned to me and said in a very calm voice,
"They're watching us." I froze because his eyes had turned completely blue. A second later, something beneath the ground pulled him down, his entire body in one instant. Only his camera was left lying there. We kept running. My breath was giving out. It felt like the entire jungle was chasing behind us. Then we reached a huge open space, and what I saw there, I still haven't been able to tell anyone the full story. In the middle of the ground was a huge circular structure made entirely of strange black metal. Hundreds of creatures were standing around it, some like humans, some like animals, some completely unrecognizable, everyone looking in the same direction, upward. I slowly looked up, and everything inside my chest stopped. In the sky, there was an enormous crack, as if the sky had torn open. Beyond that crack, blue light, and something was moving there, enormous, abnormally enormous. Slowly, something like a hand was coming out, but it wasn't a human hand. There were thousands of things like fingers, and at that moment I understood. The door was not a path to go somewhere. It was a path to bring something here. Right then, the entire place began to tremble. All the creatures screamed together. The trees around us began to move. Marina said, crying, "They're opening the door!" We started running. Terrifying sounds behind us. The ground was splitting. Blue light all around. I was only thinking one thing. Have to get out. Have to get out. Suddenly, Raphael stopped. I turned back and saw he was standing there, still, looking toward the darkness. I screamed, "Raphael!" But he slowly began to smile. His eyes were also blue then. He said very slowly, "They've been here for a long time." Then on his own, he started walking into the darkness of the jungle, and Marina and I kept running without looking back. Finally, we saw the door, but standing in front of the door was something more than 2 meters tall, skinless body, bones sticking out, and its face, it had no face, only countless eyes, all of them blinking together. Marina screamed. The creature moved toward us. I threw the flare gun in my hand. Intense light and fire spread everywhere. The creature let out a terrible scream. We took that chance and ran through the door and got out. And then everything was quiet. Normal jungle, sound of birds, wind, as if nothing had happened. But Marina was shaking then, because behind us, the door was gone, completely vanished. We somehow made it back to civilization, but the real fear hadn't started yet. Because later, we watched the footage from Lucas's camera, and there was something in it that none of us had recorded. In the last section of the video, it could be seen, while we were running, hundreds of eyes in the trees were watching us. And in the last few seconds, the camera suddenly turned upward, toward the sky. There it was clearly visible, an enormous face looking at us from beyond the crack. And the most terrifying thing was, at the very end of the video, a very faint voice could be heard in Bengali. "The door is still open." But in our team, only I knew Bengali. I was still thinking maybe this was some coincidence until 3 weeks later, in the middle of the night, I woke up and saw, outside my room's window, the smell of wet jungle soil, and beyond the glass, 2 blue eyes. Even today, in the middle of the night sometimes, my radio turns on by itself. Static sounds come. Then very quietly, someone whispers, "Don't look back."